What's up guys? Today I've got a video going over the VSR One. Now this video is an in-depth performance video on this VSR One custom build. Obviously it's not stock as you can see here. So we're just doing kind of an in-depth review on the performance of the build after all of the upgrades, after all of the parts you've seen installed and all of the videos leading up to this part currently that we're on. And yeah, so I'm going to do some range tests. I'll do an accuracy test. I'll do a chrono of consistency, and then I'll go over my thoughts of what I thought of the build and how it performed. To keep it nice and short and sweet, the first shot will be an accuracy test at 200 feet, 60 meters. So right around 200 feet at a smaller target. We're going to take a few shots at that and see how accurate it is, see how many shots we can hit at that smaller range target. You've seen the target before, it's like a hand-sized target, so we'll do that right now. And I'll keep this portion short. So yeah, I use this rangefinder here, so you know it's the exact distance of the range that I'm shooting at for the accuracy test at that small hand-sized target. And yeah, so let's get into that. I'm using 0.45 gram BBs to do this. And yeah, it's shooting at, you know, right around 2.3 joules, you know, right around that 2.3 joule mark, a little bit under to keep it under that FPS range. If you're looking for FPS, it's about 500 FPS, a little under that, about like 490, 495. But we'll see that in the chrono test when I chrono it. But yeah, it's right around 2.3 joules, you know, max for a 2.3 joule field for a bolt action rifle. So let's jump right into this and let's get shooting at the target downrange there, and let's see the accuracy on this build. So, all right, short interruption in this in-depth performance video. Before I jump into everything, I kind of want to do a quick detailed length test of the rifle, as well as the targets I'm going to be using, so you guys know what I'm using within this video in the next few clips that will lead after this portion of the video, which will go into accuracy, range, and then consistency with the chrono testing. So the current length of the build without the suppressor is going to be right at about 32 inches. And then the build when it's collapsed down with the side folder stock, when it's all the way folded in. Oh, didn't mean to knock over my drink. So this is it right here. Let me get this situated. So actually I'm just gonna leave it just like that. There's really no good way of doing this without it falling over. Okay, so from the front, from the butt to the front, it's gonna be 24 inches. So, you know, right around 2 feet. And then now for the actual targets that I'll be using. So I'll do a length test of these. In the video I say it's the size of my hand because it literally is the size of my hand, but if you want a more detailed length of that, it's going to be right at, you know, about 5.5 inches to 5.5 inches wide. It's a circular target. And then for the range test, the target that I use to just maximize the amount of range, it's about, I mean, it's way bigger than my stomach, but you know, certain stomach sizes are different, so I mean, it can measure up to about the same as some people, but this is going to be at 12 inches, so 1 foot long, 1 foot on the other end, so it's a good 12 inches long all the way around for the full diameter. So that's what you're looking at for the two targets. And then for the chrono test, I just want to show you this right off the bat. You'll see it in the video as well. I just did the chrono, but it's at 495 FPS with 0.20 gram BB, and that's about 2.28 joules. So it's right under 2.3 joules. And you'll hear me talk about the FPS joules in the video. And then at the end, you'll see the actual chrono with 3 shots through the chrono. This is the number you'll see at the very end of that chrono testing, but I wanted to show it at the beginning. So let's jump right into the good stuff. So let's head over there now. All right guys, so I'm gonna try and hit that target downrange. You can kind of see it a little bit through the current camera you're looking through right now. It's about 200 feet away, 60 meters, right around there, what I got with the rangefinder, looking at the distance of how far it is from right here. And I'm gonna use this rifle right here to hit that target. And yeah, I'm gonna pop this scope cam on, and then I have a GoPro lined up down there of an up close and personal picture of the actual target being hit. I'll have that footage going as well. So let me make sure the scope cam's actually on and blinking. All right, let's take some pot shots and see how we can do. Would help to have a mag in the gun. Okay, there we go. Now let's take some pop shots and try and hit this target. I'm gonna try and hit it twice and see what duration it takes to hit that target with accuracy twice, and I'm just gonna keep shooting until I hit it both of those times. So let's go. So that one hit the outer rim of the target. You'll be able to see that in the GoPro footage, but that I still count as a hit because it's still the circular target. It just didn't light up right in the dead center. So that's one. And that's two. I hit the outer rim of the target. It didn't light up. Unfortunately, it would be cool to see it light up, but it did hit the target. I heard it in the corner of my ear, whatever you want to call it, but it hit it twice. We'll review the GoPro footage just to double check that, but 2 shots at 200 feet, took 3 shots to take that. I think it was about 3 or 4 shots at 200 feet. So that's pretty cool. That's the accuracy of this build at a hand-sized target that you just had seen down there. And let's move on to the next portion of this video. It's gonna be a distance test or a range test, whatever you wanna call it. And we're gonna see the maximum range we can get and still hit a target. Because if we get good range, but we can't get any accuracy, it's out of range. We're not gonna consider that a shot. But I wanna see the farthest we can go. Oh, I touched the mic. I wanna see the farthest we can shoot and actually hit a target and test out the maximum range. So let's head over there and do that. The target's gonna be a little bit bigger, and you'll see that in this next clip once I cut this, so yep. So now I'm gonna hit that yellow target out there. It's about the size of a torso, about the size of my stomach, nothing higher than that, nothing lower, just one big circular target. It's kind of a metal target, so you'll kind of hear it, maybe even from that camera when I hit this target, hopefully. It's at about 250 feet, 80 meters, so we're gonna take some shots at that target. It's actually a little over 250 feet, it's like 260, 265 or something like that. But it's at 80 meters, and we're gonna hit that yellow target. I'm loading a full mag into the gun. So let me do that right now. Why am I doing this so backwards? Okay. So I'm gonna load a full mag into the gun, and if I shoot and I still can't hit the target and I'm completely out of BBs in my mag, I'm not accurate at that distance. I should be able to hit it within a few shots, but it could run me all the way down to the last shot in my mag. Either way, if it still hits a target at that distance, it's still within range. So let's give it a good range test and see how many shots it takes and see if we can even hit it at this range. So let's do that right now. All right. Oh, let me turn on the scope cam. All right. And then the GoPro's running down there as well to get the close-up shot. They're getting down there, they're just not hitting it. All right, there's a hit. 250 feet or 265 feet, right around there, 80 meters. We hit the shot, or we hit the target within a few shots, about 5 shots, I think it was. I'll have to watch the footage and count, but it is accurate at that distance. So right now we have about 265 feet of range. Let's back it up. All right, it's about 95 meters. We're gonna try and hit that target. That's about the max range I can get from this current range. So let's give this a try. I'm doing this all in one take so you guys can see this shot actually, you know, hit downrange. So let's do that right now. And I did load a full mag, so we've got a full mag worth of shots. Let's give it a go. Let's see if we can even hit that yellow target down there. Let me turn on the scope cam as well. The GoPro's running down there. I turned it on and ran down here. All right, let's go. Holy crap. I literally was not expecting that. That was literally first shot. Just like popped it up, lobbed it up a little bit. Didn't really calculate wind because I wasn't sure how much wind there was right now. But I hit it first try, no joke. You guys literally saw the footage. This was all in one take. And that's 95 meters, which is right around about 300 feet, I'm pretty sure. That's crazy. I'm actually pretty impressed by that. So yeah, let's see if we can find a longer distance. Otherwise, this will be the end of the range test. If I can hit it in one shot, this obviously can shoot farther than 95 meters. So keep that in mind. Maybe in another video, I'll do something even further if I have a larger distance to test at. But for now, this might be the end of the video. But now you know, 95 meters is the max range. Well, not max range, but it's the current range until I can find a larger distance to take shots at. But first try, 95 meters, pretty sweet. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna do a chrono test. I'm using this Ace Tech chrono, and then I'm using 0.20 gram Elite Force BBs. I'm using the VSR One, and I decided to do the test inside just because it's a more controlled environment to get the best results for the FPS, joules, whatever you want to call it. We're going to do the chrono testing right now with 0.20 gram BBs, and then let's go from there. I'm going to do 3 shots. 2.3 joules, 2.26 joules, 2.28 joules. So from 2.6 to 2.3. So it's right in between there within the fluctuation of the joules. And that's kind of right where you want it if you have a chrono limit of 2.3 joules. And that's at my home field here in Wisconsin that I go to. Has an FPS limit for bolt actions at 500 FPS. So that's what I have it at right now, and that's what it's shooting at, and that's kind of the consistency that you get with what's currently in the current setup. So guys, that is the end of this in-depth performance review. You got to see how this did at range and how it did with accuracy and how it did with its chrono. I'm just going to go over brief final results of what happened today. So bringing it at the beginning, we did the accuracy test. We were able to hit the target quite a few times. Yeah, it was out on the outer rim of the circle, but it's still the circle of the target. You heard the big clank noise twice right in a row. I think it was right in a row. It sounded like it, and it was only within like 5 shots at 200 feet with that accuracy about the size of my hand, which is about the size of my face. So that is fairly accurate without having to zero it in for an extremely long time. It's just based off of how I've previously had holds on this optic and this build because I have used it in games before already. So I've kind of got a good feel for how this shot already. So that did help out quite a bit, but I mean, that's what you want to see. You want to see the maximum performance out of the build, and that's what you got out of that 200 feet accuracy testing. I will say this, the wind does play a huge effect in the accuracy. Sometimes you have to angle the shot with the wind to make long range shots. I think I have a clip on my Instagram, the first footage from Mohawk. It's just like gameplay clip. You could see like the BB just completely curve, and you literally have to shoot into the wind to kind of get the shot to go where it wants to go, but it's consistent and it can at least reach that far with the range it has behind this build, shooting at about 2.3 joules. Now, like I was saying, within that range it has, which, you know, outperforms, you know, your standard rifleman or DMR, the range you were able to see 95 meters, you know, about 300 feet. It hit it first try, and it was one take. Literally, I was going to restart the clip, at first, because usually I range it in with the rangefinder, cut the clip, and then take the shots. But I'm like, hey, I'll keep this all in one. We'll see how it goes. You saw me take out the rangefinder, range it in, and then shoot the target one shot. You can hear it hit with just the straight GoPro footage, which I'll play probably over again in a short little clip. But it does have that range. Unfortunately, I couldn't test it at even further range, but if it can hit it in one shot at 95 meters, it can hit it far past that, you know, and that's, you know, just based off of the one shot I took at that 95-meter shot. Now, chrono, you know, the consistency is good, but it's not like it would be with a longer inner barrel, more of a, you know, you would have the Action Army hop up. I don't have the Action Army hop up. I don't have a longer inner barrel. So, I mean, the range, you're not going to get the range like you would with like a standard 430 or even a 500 millimeter VSR bolt build. But even with a 200 millimeter inner barrel, I was getting that kind of range and that kind of accuracy. The consistency could be better. If I put the Action Army hop-up chamber, the seal would be much better. Something I could definitely do. And I could also maybe, you know, put a different, you know, maybe a different bucking that works better with this build. I've only tried 2 buckings with this build so far, so I haven't really done a whole lot of testing, but I think I'm getting the maximum performance out of this build with the current TDC I have, with the current inner barrel I have, and the current bucking I have, which is the 60-degree Nor bucking from Sniper Mechanics. And then I also have the 200 millimeter edgy 6.01 inner barrel, stainless steel. And then I also have the Tritos TDC 2.0 Pro on there. So those parts alone, I'm probably getting the maximum performance. If maybe, like I said, I could put the Action Army hop up in here, but you know, it's shooting pretty consistent as you've seen in the testing. Now the chrono, I went over that. I took that in my bedroom. I didn't want to do the chrono out here because, you know, some of it will not be exact to what it's shooting at, what it's chronoing at. But I'm just going to take this build and chrono it, you know, I did like chrono it in my bedroom, but so you'll see that testing of the chrono. Before I already came out here, it was shooting around like 475, 480, I think it was. So, you know, that's right around 2.3 joules. You don't want to push it to the 495 FPS mark, because you take it to a field and sometimes it's going to chrono a little hotter. For whatever reason that is, joule creep. But I mean, it all depends on what BBs you chrono with and things like that, and what chrono you're using. But I chronoed with 0.20s and getting about 2.3 joules. Now, final thoughts. I love this build for what it is made to do. It's a compact build. It's made to, you know, fit in the size of the bag. You know, you can see just by taking this, breaking this stock down, which I'll do right now, you know, you've already got it that small, and that's about the size of my body. And then you have a little bit of fun and you take off the suppressor, and now it's about the size of my stomach without my head included and without some portion of my waist. So that alone can fit right in my LBX bag that you've seen in other videos, which this build can fit into, which is awesome. And I have many plans to carry it as like a secondary bolt build that I can carry as a backup for like 24-hour milsims, things like that. Just longer duration milsims that I may need a backup rifle for, because, you know, sometimes you do have issues with these technical builds because there's a lot going on, a lot of moving parts, a lot of things, a lot of variables to take into account. Sometimes your current build doesn't hold up and you need a backup. Usually I usually only use one build a day when I go to a field, but if it's a longer event, who wouldn't want a second rifle in a bag that can shoot outrange any other class on the field? Maybe not the same range as like my current VSR 10 build, but it can still get close to it. And, you know, it's not going to hurt anything because it's just stored in a bag and you can tuck it away and it's just there if you need it. And that's what this build was made to do. And you know, it's got everything you need. It's got an extra mag holder. It's got, you know, some extra M-lock rail attached slots. It's got a Picatinny rail there if you want to throw a bipod, suppressor mounted, you know, a stock, Midwest Industries stock, by the way. This stock is absolutely so sick. Adjustable cheek riser. I've already went over this, but like I was saying, I don't want to get too far into the actual specs of this build. I want to get to the performance. So as you see, as far as the performance, you've seen that in this video, and that's what I went over today. Pretty pleased with how it shot. Maybe in a video by itself, not within the series, but a video within itself, I'll show the max range I can get if I can find a spot that can range further than 100 meters, which I think I can do. I just may have to walk a little bit further down, deeper into the woods and get a further shot. So stay tuned for that video possibly in the future. But the next probably final part to this build series will probably be a in-game review of this build. So I'll review this build and show some gameplay footage and go all into that and how it performed in a game. I've taken it already out to a few games, and the weather conditions just really wasn't giving it the performance I wanted. Plus I haven't played for a while, a couple months, so I was a little off and wasn't making a whole lot of shots. I was pretty rusty, you could say, and there wasn't a whole lot of footage I could really make a gameplay with. So hopefully within, you know, this summer I can get a gameplay footage and get the last part to the build series up on the channel for you guys so you can see how this thing performs. Other than that, you guys take care, and hopefully you guys learned something in this video. Hopefully you got a feel for what you can get performance wise out of a VSR One, now probably my favorite build. And I just want to say thanks to my buddy Talon for letting me borrow his target, which I still haven't returned yet, which I'm going to. So keep that in mind. But thank you again, Talon. And just a random side note, but until next time, you guys have a good one, and I'll probably see you in the next video.